Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Gordon. We are back with another video. Today we're doing an updated price prediction for Aerodrome Finance. As always, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to smash that thumbs up button below, hit subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and you've got a completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin in the description of this video waiting for you. Make sure to grab that now, and let's talk about Aerodrome. Okay, so first and foremost, let's take a look on the chart here and what has been playing out with Aerodrome here over the past few days, because yes, we did have a very big pullback in the crypto markets last Friday. And yes, there is a little bit of delay. I'm recording this video on the 11th of October. And what we saw with Aerodrome was a very sharp pullback from this $1.09 area. We had Bitcoin pulling back all the way from 123 down to 102 at the lows, which was crazy. But Aerodrome currently at 86 cents, and we are holding above the 200-day simple moving average, which is really nice to see. Now, in some of the previous videos I've done about Aerodrome, I was referencing the point that we were putting in a really nice series of higher lows since these big lows back in April of 2025. We've been putting in this really nice pattern here, moving to the upside. And technically speaking, we are still putting in another higher low now on the chart compared to this low back at around 71 cents in the beginning of August. Now, yes, we do have, slightly lower lows on a more local level, but if we can get support here on the 200-day, start to consolidate and start moving higher, I do think that bodes well for the larger pattern here and this series of higher lows continuing to play out as we move through the next few weeks and as we move through the remainder of Q4 2025. So things on the chart are actually not looking all that bad considering that huge flush and flash crash last Friday. And so that's what gets me excited here about the strength of Aerodrome. And yes, the chart is looking pretty good, but some of the fundamentals happening behind the scenes for Aerodrome are even better. Now, if I jump over to DeFi Llama very, very quickly, let's take a look at the Base network. We know Aerodrome is the leading decentralized exchange on the Base network. Base has grown to be the fastest layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum over the past couple of years. We've grown from, even just since the beginning of 2024, about $425 million of TVL to almost $5 billion of TVL where we're at today. In fact, we were at about 5.5 billion just last week before that flash crash, and now we're at about 4.84 billion. But for all intents and purposes, the TVL on the Base network has more than 10x'd since the beginning of 2024. And so if we scroll down here, we can see Aerodrome as the number one DEX on the Base network with about $500 million of total value locked. Now, we're going to get to the price prediction in just a moment, guys, but it's important not just to be buying things blindly. You need to understand the fundamentals and what's actually happening behind the scenes with these ecosystems, with these protocols, with these DEXs, because that's ultimately what should be informing your decision-making process, okay? Aerodrome very recently had some very bullish news as well with this integration on Coinbase. Yes, they are basically incubated and backed by Coinbase, and you've got this integration now where traders on the Coinbase centralized exchange are able to access decentralized tokens on the Base network, and all of those swaps are being facilitated by Aerodrome Finance. Okay, what does that mean? Well, typically speaking, you have a listing schedule where assets get listed on centralized exchanges, and now essentially Coinbase doesn't need to do that with every single token, because for those tokens that have not been listed natively on their centralized exchange, they're allowing their customers and users to purchase and access those tokens, and those swaps are being facilitated on Coinbase, but they're being facilitated via or through the Aerodrome decentralized exchange. So that is very, very exciting as an integration with Coinbase. And again, Coinbase is the third largest exchange on the entire planet. It's by far the largest centralized exchange in the United States. They've got hundreds of millions of users. And when we start to see more retail investors coming into the markets here later in the cycle, I think that's going to bode very, very well for everything happening and more capital flowing through into Aerodrome Finance. The other big bullish news here in the past few weeks has been the fact that Base Network themselves have come out to say that they're exploring the creation of a Base Network token. Now, Jesse Pollock is the one, he's the head of Base, who actually announced that. And in my opinion, he's not going to come out and say that they're exploring the potential of a Base Network token if they're not already doing a whole bunch of work on that behind the scenes. And, for Base to come out with a token at a $5 billion TVL already, you would have to think the Base token, the token generation event, and the subsequent airdrop could be one of the biggest airdrops in crypto history. So again, what does that mean? How does that play out in reality, in practicality? Well, people who've been using Base for the past couple of years are likely going to be eligible for that airdrop, essentially free money in a certain capacity. And when they get that airdrop and free money, I think a good portion of that will flow in to speculate on these other Base native protocols, just like Aerodrome Finance. And so I think what you're going to see is a large influx of capital into the Base network with any kind of Base ecosystem token. And then that will naturally filter its way through to many of these different protocols. And obviously, with Aerodrome being the number one largest and leading DEX on Base, I think you're going to see capital flowing into Aerodrome directly as a result of that potential airdrop. So again, that is somewhat speculation, but I don't think Jesse would be coming out to say they're exploring a token if they're not already doing something on that behind the scenes. I will keep you posted on updates there, guys. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already so you can get those updates. I'm going to be bringing them directly to you. So let's move on to the most important thing. What you're here for is the price prediction. And just remember that when we're making these price predictions, we do have to plug in certain variables into the chart. The last thing I want to look at here before we do the price prediction is the dominance of Aerodrome Finance, because over the past few weeks, we have seen its dominance slip back down to this 0.02% area. Last time I did a video about a month to 6 weeks ago, we did have Aerodrome dominance up a little bit higher. It was closer to the 0.03% area. It has slipped back. But again, I'm not overly concerned about that because there's been so much volatility with this recent flash crash in the market. And we're kind of seeing a little bit of a reshuffling here with many of the top 100 tokens given that pullback. Okay, so keep that in mind. If I jump over here, we're going to look at a bear case, base case, and bull case scenario. And just like I said, that dominance has slipped back from the 0.31% area down to about the 0.021% area. We were lower back in kind of April, May, June of this year. We were actually below the 0.02% area. So we're still up from there, but ever so slightly down compared to about 6 to 8 weeks ago. Okay, like I said, there's certain variables we have to plug in here: total crypto market cap, Aerodrome's dominance, and I'm estimating the amount of AERO that's going to be in circulation. But my bear case is playing out here somewhere around total crypto market cap getting to about 5 trillion US dollars, AERO getting up to about 0.07% dominance. That's going to give us a $3.5 billion market cap for Aerodrome Finance. Dividing it by just over 1 billion tokens in circulation gets us to somewhere around $3.33 by the peak of the cycle in my bear case scenario. Okay, what does that look like if we take it a step further? And my base case, what does it look like? Well, basically, I'm thinking total crypto market cap could peak closer to $7 trillion if AERO can get up to 0.14% in terms of dominance. That's going to get us to a $9.8 billion market cap, and dividing it by tokens in circulation gets us to about a $9 price target per AERO token. Now, again, this is not unfathomable. I know it's a big stretch from the $800 million market cap we're at today, but at the peak of the last cycle, Uniswap got up to a $22 billion overall market cap when total crypto market cap only peaked at about 2.9 trillion US dollars. We're anticipating getting somewhere between, 6, 7, 8 trillion dollars. I do think there's room for a leading protocol like Aerodrome on the Base network to be getting somewhere between 8 to 10 billion in overall market cap. Okay, next up, we've got the bull case scenario. In the bull case, what we're looking at here is more of a blow off top type of scenario. If we can get all the way up to 9 trillion US dollars, and if AERO can get up to a 0.2% dominance, that's going to get us to an $18 billion market cap and the price per AERO token in that scenario is going to be somewhere around $17 per AERO token. Okay, that is very bullish. That is kind of the stars aligning. That is seeing a lot of retail investors come back in and Coinbase pushing them towards using the base network, more of that capital flowing into Aerodrome's ecosystem, and obviously maybe a little bit of help from an airdrop happening for a base network token, getting us up to 9 trillion, seeing Aero's dominance rising by almost a factor of 10x here to get to that number. But I do think it's possible if the stars align. So that is it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comments, are you holding Aerodrome Finance, and what price do you think AERO can get to by the peak of the cycle? That is it for today's video, guys. As always, if you got any value out of this Aerodrome deep dive and price prediction update, let's do it right now. Just take 3 seconds, smash that thumbs up button. It's right under my finger. Make sure to give us a thumbs up before you jump out the door. Hit subscribe, hit that bell notification icon, and you've got a completely free copy of The Rise of Bitcoin. Grab that now in the description below, and we'll catch you in the next one.